what I wonder also.
What is the purpose of sending a message? What is the purpose? You don't get a prize for just sending a message. It shouldn't be just check, it's on a list, you just check it off and say you did it. Right? The purpose of sending a message is to have a conversation. That's the only reason you should be doing it, right? So magic holiday messaging has to be centered around the expectation of your being willing and available to have the conversation.
Anyways, we're here live on LCA, and I wanted to introduce to you guys one of my favorite persons here, who is Dan Stewart. And the reason why I say he's one of my favorite is because he brings so much value to LCA. Welcome, Dan Stewart from LCA Nurture.
Thank you so much.
I really love your product. I am a true fan of your product, and I want you to tell us all about it. But before we do that, welcome everybody. Please tell us city and state you're from here, right here in the chat group. And very shortly, we'll go ahead and have Dan take it away. How does it sound, Dan?
It sounds great to me. Hi, Chad. Hi, Denise. Hi, Jen. Hi, Katrina. Hi, Joyce. Hi, the names are going so fast right now. That's awesome.
That is great.
I love it. We got Ventura, California in the house. That would be our man, Jake Fry, who does such a great job getting these set up for us. Love it.
All the time.
So Shelly and Laura and Lisa and Katrina, go ahead and say hi in the chat. Katrina's first to say hi from New York City. Very cool.
Yep.
Hello. Very cool. Thank you for doing that. We always want you to do that so we know you can see us and hear us. Kind of important, right? Kind of important.
We're in the people business, so we like people to talk back to us in a good way.
Yeah.
Like communicate. Let's go. Let's talk. Let's communicate together and have fun. Anyways, let's get started. We're 4 minutes into it, and we have so much information to cover. So please, Dan, take it away. Tell us more about LCA Nurture, because we're here to learn and grow from you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Definitely appreciate that. Before we dive in, like just a little preamble here, right? The reason people are here today is because of magic holiday messaging. That's what you guys registered for, and that's absolutely what I'm going to deliver for you today. Now, those of you in the chat here, I may have some questions. When I ask a question, I'd love to see your participation in the chat, right? That makes a big difference because you showed up. You're here live watching this now. I'm going to show up for you, right? Any questions that you have, I want to make sure that we get those answered during today's session. So let's talk about the opportunity that exists right now, today, middle of November, as we're recording this, right? We just had Halloween. We're going to blink our eyes and it's going to be next year. And yet this final quarter of the year is an absolute gold mine if you're working your database the right way. I mean, it truly is, right? It truly is. So I'm going to ask a yes or no question in the chat right now, and I want 100% participation on this, please. So if you feel like your database is perfectly organized and is working well for you, give me an all caps yes. And if you feel anything else about your database, give me a no, right? Is your database completely organized and working for you? Give me a yes or no answer. That's what I'd like to see in the chat. Now, yeah, I see the no's flying in. If I get a yes, quite frankly, I would be amazed, right? I would be amazed.
Right.
And, from all of you who just answered here, I'm going to guess that you're not brand new in real estate. You probably have past clients. You've got a sphere of influence. You have a group of people in your database that you could reach out to, and yet there's a reason you're not, right? There's a challenge here that you have to overcome. And the challenge exists between your ears, right? I'm just going to say it as plain as that, because real estate can be such a wonderful career. You can build such great relationships with people where they literally refuse to let anyone they know work with anyone else. You have the power to do that if you fix something in here. And that's where we're going to start today, is fixing that thing, right? So here's how it goes. You're an agent. You really go deep with someone. You build this great relationship with them. You get through this emotional roller coaster of a real estate transaction, and then you move on to the next one, right? You have an intention of reaching out to those people. You've heard all the stats. You know that 93% of consumers want to work with you again, and only 11% do, right? You know the fortunes in the follow-up, and yet you get so caught up with what you're doing right now that you forget to reach out to those people you've already served in the past.
Exactly.
Now, the conversation you may be having in your brain is, oh, they need a break from me. Like, that was a lot, and I need a break from them. I mean, we can acknowledge that happens.
And we're talking about our past clients, correct, Dan?
Specifically about past clients right now. You've just closed that transaction. Let's have a breathing period, right? That's not weird. And you might be like, well, if I reach out to them, what if I find out they don't love the home I sold them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what if that water heater that was so old I couldn't believe it passed inspection, like what if that just blew up on them right before the holidays? Like, you've got all these stories in your head that are not real. They're only here, they're only in your brain, right? And what your consumer is doing, they're like, oh my gosh, working with you was so awesome. I really enjoyed that. Like, I kind of want to reach out. Oh, but they're so busy. Like, I'll just, I've already, like, I use so much of their time in the transaction. It feels like a real hurdle for them to get over. So you've got these two parties, the consumer and the agent, who really want to talk to each other. They're just both telling themselves stories in their heads that are preventing them from doing that.
Right.
So we're going to get past that. Like, we're going to understand that the data tells us for certain that most people are happy to hear from you, right? We just have to put the right scripts in place so it doesn't feel awkward for you, right? So next question. I'm going to ask another question. I want to hear your input here. I would like you to put a number for me in the chat of how many people you have in your database that actually know who you are, right?
Oh.
How many people are in your database that know who you are? Go ahead and put that number in the chat for us. Okay. I'll wait to see these popping in.
And while you're waiting, I do want to say something. LCA Nurture, since it's a gratitude month, we have a special for the entire month of November. Get 50% off when you have an annual plan through 11/30. So through November 30th. You guys, this is amazing. The link is right there. Click on it. I have to tell you from my experience, Dan is amazing. The system is amazing. It really does work. So go on, Dan.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. So yeah, I'm looking to see these numbers coming in the chat. Here we go. They're starting to pop in. Shelly, so 100 to 125. You might be really surprised to hear that the data says, like, at scale, we know for sure. Katrina, 125. This is perfect. So both of you have more than 12 transactions per year just from those 100 relationships in your database. That's what the math says. So, if you think about all the things you could do in real estate, and then you focus on what actually works, and you do what actually works consistently over time, the payoff is exponential. And investing in the relationships you've worked hard to build always has an exponential payoff. It always does. So we want to be clear about that. Now, Jake, this is interesting. Jake says 2,000 to 5,000. Our database is huge, though.
Right? Well, I want to say something. Our database is huge. We've got 10K in our database.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, I mean, tell us more about how we could do this.
Yeah, well, so we have to think about how to slice and dice all the people in a database. And you notice the question I asked wasn't how many people are in your database.
Right.
It's how many people do you have a relationship with that are in your database.
Ah, okay, there you go.
So, ask yourself, that 10,000 person database, imagine that they were walking around the mall with you all 10,000 people in the mall plus you. How many of them walk up and say hi? How many of them recognize you and give you a hug, right?
Right.
Those are the people that are worth their weight in gold. We need to cultivate relationships with those people who already know who we are. And there's a really clear formula of what needs to be sent to produce that minimum of 12 transactions per year. We've done some testing. We have some members who pull in far more than 12 from those 100 relationships, some as high as 24. So the way you show up for people in your life definitely makes a difference. You know, if you're that kind of person who's you walk into a room and it's like a bright shining light follows you and people gravitate towards you, you're going to see higher numbers, right? The minimum number we're going to target from those 100 relationships is 12 transactions per year, right? So where does this come from? Like I'm going to take just a moment here and help you understand where this data comes from. 12 years ago, I sold my CRM company. And after a few months of rest and relaxation, I started Happy Grasshopper. And over these 12 years, we've tested and measured thousands of different send types, message frequencies, subject lines, you name it, we've tested it. Today, we're nurturing 26 million contacts for our members. And that gives us a huge data set. So, you know, rather than try to like test and measure and experiment everything on your own, you could just decide to do what works. And, you know, when Tristan and Nick and I got together for LCA Nurture, we put that plan in place in the system for you. So the framework that you need to produce that volume of transactions looks like this. There's 17 emails per year that are non-salesy, right? That's kind of your base tempo. 17 per year, non-salesy. That's once every 3 weeks, all through the year is what adds up to 17. And then that needs to be supplemented with text messages and ringless voicemail drops, right? So those should go out in a 1-2 combination. And Katrina, I'll pick you here from the chat. My father-in-law's last name is Massey, so yours is too. I'm just going to go with you on this one. So let's imagine that Katrina is my past client and her birthday is 7 days from today. Well, today she's going to get a text message from me. Hey, Katrina, it's Dan Stewart. Am I the first person to wish you a happy birthday this year? Right? And when she gets that message, she's going to reply. Like the response rate on that message is astronomically high. She'll engage with that message, and I will have beat the rush on social media. I may have even beaten the postcard from the dentist, right? That feels like a nice, authentic touch. And then on her birthday, she'll look down at her phone, she'll see missed call from Dan, and she'll listen, and it's my voice. Hey, it's me, Dan. Just thinking about you on your birthday. Hope you're doing awesome. Would love to hear from you when you have time. So give me a call. You've got my number. It's blah, 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 right? So you record that message once, and then our system sends that message out to you automatically over time. So Denise, I see your questions popped up in the chat. She's got 2,000 contacts. They have smart plans, and each one has value. They reach out to their past clients and provide them with value, but it's a lot of work and a bit unorganized keeping up with it all. We have ads and retargeting. Would love to have everything run like a well-oiled machine. And Denise says she uses Chime. So Chime is one of the many companies that we integrate with. And keep in mind, LCA Nurture, what we've talked about so far today, is really only focused on that one segment of your database that are those people who know you. When you have thousands of clients, you need different content. Thousands of contacts, I should say, not thousands of clients. Right. When you have thousands of contacts, well, some of those people have no idea who you are. Right. So you need the right strategy to work with them. And to get that strategy, you could just go to happygrasshopper.com/strategy. How's that for ease, right? You could just answer a few questions there and then book a one-on-one call with a member of our staff, and we'll help you. Now, let's get back to the framework, right? Gosh, I think it was Tom Hopkins or Brian Buffini. This is kind of one of those pieces of wisdom that everybody hears and goes, yeah, that sounds right. But no one's really sure who came up with it first, right? So it's the idea that you make a deposit, a deposit, a deposit, a deposit, and then a withdrawal, right? That's why we've structured the framework the way that we have. You can't send an email once every 3 weeks and have everyone be a withdrawal, right? You can't send 12 texts and 12 voicemail drops and have everyone be a withdrawal. So the way we've set it up is we have up to 6 holidays per year that you choose. Once a quarter, we send a lead harvesting message. And then, of course, we have birthdays and transaction anniversaries. All of those should get that kind of 1-2 combo of text message and ringless voicemail drop, right? And I'm going to jump into the application here to show you how this fits together. I'm going to share my screen. Janki, has this popped up for you? Are you seeing my screen?
Yeah, I sure did. So I just want to say something really quickly, Dan, if I may give a shout out here, because you're just about to look at Nurture right now, and Happy Grasshopper. I have to tell everyone out there in LCA that I use Happy Grasshopper at a very high level for my past clients. And we get our past clients to just tell us to come over because they're ready to list. So one of our past clients did just that, Dan. They were ready to list. All they said is, hey, I get your emails, I get your brownies, I get your cards. We don't need to interview anyone. And I'm like, oh, okay. And all we did is go there. And I was always worried about what you said, Dan. We're always very shy of, oh my gosh, what if they tell me about the broken water heater? Or what if they tell me about, whatever it might be. Yeah,
or worst of all, what if they just sold their house with someone else?
Exactly, right? So it's like, what do you do? And I've had people that did that, right? I've had 1 or 2 clients, and that's when I said, okay, I need to get Happy Grasshopper. So I want to share that aha moment with me when I had that thought of like, don't think in fear with your past clients. Think with, not scarcity, but more of like, momentum with them, building that relationship, and of course, business.
Yeah, so let's break down how to really structure that and make it work the right way. I'll give you a quick tour of the LCA Nurture Dashboard. This shows you your upcoming messaging opportunities. You had any sort of tasks scheduled, you'd see those. We're identifying your clients that are likely to move. We have this great integration with Revaluate. So it's actually studying what they're doing on social media. And if they post anything that indicates a move is coming, they're going to show up here in your feed. And then here you see people with these upcoming birthdays and transaction anniversaries. Now, when we first start working with a client, we set up the account for you. And I'm going to come over here to settings to give you an idea what that looks like. Now, first place I'm going to click here is celebrations. And you'll see that we've got birthdays. Well, do you want to be reminded that someone is having a birthday? Or do you just want it to go out automatically, right? I like my text to go out automatically, and I like the text to go a week before their birthday. Voicemail drops, I also want to have go automatically, but I want those to go out on their birthday, right? So you set it up the same way for transaction anniversaries, and then for holidays, you just choose the holidays that you'd like to send messaging for, and you get up to 6. So I'll show you, there's a ton that are here. The ones that are bold are the ones that I've chosen. And do we have any Canadians here today? We speak Canadian. We add all the U's in the right places. We even have a bunch of Canadian holidays here. So if we have anybody up in that cold wasteland, frozen tundra of a country, we've got your back.
But a beautiful country, by the way, Dan.
Absolutely it is. I love Canada. Yeah, I was just in Kelowna a few months ago. It was beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. Right. So now that we've set these sort of messages in place, let's get on to the magic holiday messaging. Right. And I'm going to stop my screen share here for a moment because I really want to anchor this. What is the purpose of sending a message? What is the purpose? You don't get a prize for just sending a message. It shouldn't be just check, it's on a list, you just check it off and say you did it, right?
I
The
would say, Dan, yeah.
the purpose of sending a message is to have a conversation. That's the only reason you should be doing it, right? So magic holiday messaging has to be centered around the expectation of your being willing and available to have the conversation. So for example, on Thanksgiving Day, if you send a text message to your past clients in Sphere, do you really want to spend Thanksgiving Day on your phone having lots of text message conversations? If you do, great, we can make that happen for you, but we don't require you to do it that way, right? You could record a ringless voicemail drop, and that script could say something where they know that they don't have to call you back today, right? You don't want to burden them with that. When you think about the different types of messages it's possible to send, text message always has the sense of urgency. Like if you send a text to 50 people, well, you're probably going to get replies from 30 to 40 of them in just the next half an hour. So you have to be careful about when you send that out. If you send an email to those same 50 people, they don't feel an obligation to reply right away. They'll read the email on their time frame. They'll respond to the email on their time frame. Text is different, right? I just want to be clear about that.
So Dan, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so what if you want to let them know through text message? Can we create a special message out to them that we're going to be by on Saturday to deliver pies to you?
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So we can create our own messages as well. Am I correct on this?
You are correct.
We can
Yes.
customize it.
Here in LCA Nurture, I'm in the text message area of the application, and I'm in the library right now. So these are texts that we've prepared for our members. And by the way, when we first set this up for someone, you're going to want to choose, let me phrase this correctly. You have to choose a new phone number. It's required by the TCPA legislation. You know, texting is not email. There's actually penalties here that you do not want to get caught up in. So we make sure to protect you from that by allowing you to choose a new phone number in the system. You just enter your area code, you choose a number, and when you do, we set it up to where if somebody dials that number, it would forward the calls to another number of your choice, right? So you don't have to worry about that. Now, the first time you send a text message to someone, we recommend this script. Hi, Janki, it's Dan Stewart. I just set up a new phone number and wanted you to have it. How have you been? Right?
I like
so
that.
We're going to send that out. We're going to have a nice little chit chat, and then it won't be weird or surprising when you get a message from me later in the year, right? Like here, for example, this is a Thanksgiving message. Hi, Janki, happy Thanksgiving. It's Dan Stewart. Are you doing anything fun this year? Right? Now, notice what I did here. I'm not like sending marketing. There's no marketing pitch here. What I'm doing is I'm showing up in the relationship as a real person who wants to have a real conversation.
Exactly.
That's the value of all the money you spend on marketing, is to get to a point where you can have a conversation with someone. What we're doing with these texts is we're just shortcutting that. Right?
I love the fact that you're asking, how are you doing? Hey, I have something, but how are you doing? Right.
Yeah.
And then they'll tend to respond. We've seen results with that, by the way, Dan.
Yeah, it's a quality message for sure.
Right.
Now, there are some other examples in here of different message types. Like you'll see a double your best clients option. Hey, Janki, it's Dan Stewart. Do you have a few minutes? I have 3 quick questions I'd like to ask. Right? Ooh, well, I've raised the curiosity and I've left it unresolved. Right? So you're probably going to text, yeah, call me in a few, or yeah, I'll call in 5, or maybe the phone will just ring. Right? So part of what we need to do is prep you to actually have that conversation. And if you called me, here's how that would go. I'll just model it here real quick. Janki, thank you so much for calling me back. How have you been? How's your family? What's going on? Are you good?
All
awesome.
Good. Yeah.
Right? So glad to know that you're good. Listen, I have three quick questions. Number one, you've probably seen a lot in the news about real estate lately. Are you concerned about interest rates? Right? Now, what would you say? How would you answer that question if someone asked you? Right? Are you concerned about interest rates is going to lead them down a path? Well, no, I'm not. You helped me buy a year ago. I locked in 3.1. I'm good. Like, I'm great. Don't worry about that. Oh, that's so awesome. Next question. Do you know anyone who's concerned about this? Because the data is really interesting, and I'd love to have a conversation with them so they're not feeling stressed about real estate right now. It's not 2008, right? And then final question, who do you know that's thinking of buying or selling, right? So three quick questions like that asked every now and then to the people who know you, and you'll find all these referral transactions come in that way. So that's a quick look at some of the other content here in the system. Now, for voicemail drops, you'll see we've loaded the scripts for the holidays that you selected. So here's a Thanksgiving message, for example. And to record this, I'll just record it for you now live so you can see how easy this is. And a little pro tip, I like to hold up my phone to actually pretend I'm leaving a voicemail. It helps me sound like I'm not reading
Right.
and also like I'm not doing a radio commercial. So let's do this one. Hey, it's Dan Stewart. I just wanted to reach out and wish you and yours a happy Thanksgiving. I'm really grateful for you guys. You've been a great client and a great friend. And, if you're free next week, I'd love to catch up. Give me a call. You've got my number. It's 727-533-5175. Thanks. Bye. All right. So how easy was that? Done, right?
Wow.
And now our system will queue that up to go out at the right time for you. Now, a note about the way that I did this. Some of you might be saying, he didn't read the script word for word. That's totally fine.
That's exactly.
That's totally fine. This isn't a magic spell. You don't have to, I'm thinking of Harry Potter, was it Leviosa Wingardium? Like, you got to say it the right way if it's going to work. That's not a ringless voicemail drop.
Yeah, got it.
Just make it sound like you and you're going to win, right? That's what's going to work. So I'm just going to record that there, or just save that there. You'll see there's all kinds of other voicemail scripts here for you. You're going to want to make sure you send those. Now, I'm going to click over here on social media content. We create new social media posts. We push them into LCA Nurture once every 2 weeks. And all of these are designed to be posted from your personal page.
Oh, wow.
Right? This is a key differentiator from what you've seen with services that post for you, right? We're not posting to a business page. We're also not marketing your listings or your open houses, right? The purpose here is to help people see you and associate you with real estate. So we're asking questions that everybody should have an opinion on. Like, when you see this, do you want to swing on the tire or throw a ball through it? How you answer explains a lot about you and your childhood. People will comment. Your job is like their comment, reply to their comment, thank them for their comment in the DMs. And some of you will look at those and go, oh, I can't wait to send it. And others are like, no, that's not me at all. That's why there's so much here to choose from. Like, I'm just going to scroll through a bunch of these. Yes, you'll see there's Thanksgiving messages. We even have this rotting pumpkin. I think this is hilarious. How many of us have had pumpkins do this over the past couple of weeks? Like, I'll just scroll down. There's so much content here.
So
You're
awesome.
going to find stuff you love.
Wow.
Right? There's a ton there. And then last section I'm going to go to will be handwritten cards. I'm a big fan of handwritten cards. My mentor drilled into me early in my career, handwritten cards, Dan, that's what you need. So the problem with that is, by the time you get a large database, there's just not enough time. Your handwriting and your wrist is just dead. So we've set this up to where we've got dozens and dozens of different cards here. So many that you can just choose by category. Like here, I'll click thank you. I'm going to scroll down and just choose a card. And then anything that's written in this box is going to show up inside the card in the font that you choose. So I'll give you an idea, and I'm going to zoom in. I want you to notice that the E's, like each time you see an E, it doesn't match the other E's, right? It's a small detail, but even though this is written by a robot holding a pen, we don't want it to show up like it's mechanical and it's inorganic. It has to look real. So no matter which font you choose, you're going to find we follow those same conventions. This is the one that I use for most of my cards. And I'll stop my screen share here because I have that card here in front of me. This is what it looks like. It's like a nice thick card. And that's what it looks like inside. Right?
Wow. Right.
So how cool is that? Right? How cool is that? Now
That
those
is-
go out with
So these are, so we can even do handwritten cards. See, that I didn't know. Okay.
yeah, these are built right in. Now they're all a la carte, right?
Right.
So you don't pay for them unless you decide you want to send them. They start at about $3.85. Handwritten envelope, first class stamp, card purchase, written, delivered to the post office. So you never actually have to touch it. And then you even have the option of including a gift card. So
Got it.
that's kind of fun too. I'll just show you here. Like you could choose your gift card provider and then just pick a dollar amount and, you know, off you go. Right. So super easy to do that. So let's recap because we've covered a lot here. We've talked about how the holiday season is the ideal time to re-engage your database. So remember, no more of those mindset problems. If you're watching this right now and you're feeling a little bit of guilt about having let some relationships go, so did they, right? So did they. It takes two people to maintain a relationship. So stop beating yourself up and just take the right action, right? And then we talked about how you have to have the right framework of messaging. And at scale with the 26 million contacts we're nurturing, we know the best approach is 41 touches per year, 17 emails, 12 texts, 12 ringless voicemail drops, birthdays, holidays, transaction anniversaries, and then once a quarter, you can make a withdrawal, right? That's when you ask for business from your database, right? So we've talked about mindset, we've talked about framework, and still, like maybe there's a challenge here we have to overcome. Like, how am I going to do all these things when I got all this other stuff that I have to do too? Well, that's exactly why we created LCA Nurture. So Jake's put the link there in the screen. You do need to know that right now we have our Black Friday sale going on. We only do this once a year, and it's actually 50% off the annual plan. So it's only $235 for the whole year to get your database cleaned up and to make sure that all of your messaging gets handled. Right?
So here's the question, Dan, I have real quickly.
Sure.
Can you repeat the 41 touches that you just mentioned? Because I don't think we're doing all of that. So what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's email once every 3 weeks. That's 17 touches per year.
Okay.
And then it's 12 texts and 12 ringless voicemail drops. And those are sent as a 1-2 combo. So think of that birthday example, 7 days before and then on your birthday.
Okay.
Right? So birthdays, transaction anniversaries, 6 holidays per year that you choose, and then once a quarter, a lead harvesting message.
Okay.
So all of that adds up to 41 touches per year. And then of course, that's supplemented by the handwritten cards and the social media posts. Right?
Okay.
So I'm going to circle back to a point here because we've covered a lot. And I know like it sounds great. I want to do this. I want to be involved in this. And you're going, oh my God, my database is such a wreck. Like, oh, what am I going to do to get past that? So let me help you press the easy button. Go to happygrasshopper.com/white glove.
Oh, white glove.
And you can have a free one-on-one setup call with a member of our support staff, right? And they'll help you export your contacts from your email, your phone, your MLS, your CRM. We'll get it all loaded in the system so we can send the right messaging to the right people at the right time over the right duration, so you get the results that are really possible from your database.
And you guys, just to be very clear, this is recorded. This webinar is being recorded right now and will be available on our YouTube channel later today, you guys. So if you missed any of this, what this amazing, nurture system can do for us, please, please, please do go to our YouTube channel, listen to Dan himself again, and get all those specials. And they're only available until November 30th. I mean, come on, half off your annual. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Dan. That's awesome. If you guys have any other questions, please let us know right here. And if not, are we on top of up the hour? Jake, what are we doing here?
We are all set. We have covered the content that we need to.
Okay.
I'm happy to hang out for a few minutes and answer whatever sort of questions people have. I'm going back through the chat now to see if I had missed any. Let me just see here. Looks like we're caught up there on the questions. So if you have them, bring them in. And in the meantime, I'm going to answer a couple of questions that some of you certainly have.
And Dan, where can they reach you if they have any of the questions after this? Do they just reach out to happygrasshopper.com/whiteglove?
Well, that would be for help getting your account set up. If you have other questions, go to happygrasshopper.com/strategy. And I'll put that in the chat right now for everybody.
There we go. Awesome.
If I can spell and talk at the same time, looks like I'm doing it. All right, I just dropped that in there for you.
Multitasking at its best. Okay.
So I'm going to answer some questions that I expect people are thinking about right now. Number one, let's acknowledge that most everyone already has a system. Right? Many of you have multiple systems already. That's totally fine. Organizing contacts and sending messaging to people is not a significant technical challenge. Samsung literally makes a refrigerator that can text you a picture of what's inside your fridge while you're at the grocery store. We live in a bizarre time. It's so easy to send a message today. The challenge is, what do you say to actually get the result, right? That's the hard part. So if you have another system that's already in place, that's fine. We probably integrate with it. We have hundreds and hundreds of integrations direct via API to companies like Follow Up Boss and Wise Agent and Chime and then there's a bunch of them. And then of course we have third-party API integrations. That would be companies like Zapier, If This Then That, PieSync, so on and so forth. So if you have another system, again, it's likely we already integrate with it.
Very nice. So very flexible in integration as well, you guys. So see, there's so many good points right here. So take opportunity now, obviously, because we're doing half off on their annual product. And again, happygrasshopper.com/whiteglove. And we also have another link right here, happygrasshopper.com/meet LCA Nurture for more details. And that's it, Dan. Thank you so much for this time. I'm so grateful for our friendship. I'm totally grateful for being here. I've learned so much. I've taken notes, Dan, and I'm going to implement this on our Happy Grasshopper site. But I want to wish you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And right back at you, of course, right? I mean, let's put this in context here as we just wrap this up. We're in the middle of November as this is being recorded, right? 2022 is almost done. We're going to blink and it's going to be 2023. It's going to happen really quickly through the rest of the year. A bunch of us are taking time off. We've got Thanksgiving coming up, right? The whole holiday season. A lot of people are traveling. And, for these reasons, I always think about how to finish the year strong. And every time I hear the word November, I think Grovember. Right? It's Grovember right now.
Exactly. That's a good one. Grovember. I like that.
Grovember. It's time to invest in your relationships. It's time to reach out to all those people in your database. And, this slowdown, this chance to step backwards. I mean, let's face it, if you've worked in real estate over the past few years, woo, it's been a whirlwind.
It's
And
been
you
a
know,
roller coaster,
some
yep.
of you are slowing down a bit and you're like, oh, thank God I get rest, right? Well, you don't want that rest to be too long, right? You must put the systems and process and structure in place
Yep.
to make sure that as the economy cools, as real estate slows down, that you're one of those agents who has the uptick and thrives, right?
And it's all
No
about
matter
systems.
what happens in your market, no matter what happens in the economy, everyone has to live somewhere. There will always be transactions. Your job is to figure out how to get the amount that you need to achieve your personal goals.
Love it. Thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate
You
it.
are welcome.
Thank you.
All
Bye,
right.
everyone. Talk soon.
Take
Bye,
care.
Jen.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye,
Happy
everyone.
Thanksgiving.